You must be Miss Hoffman.
Yes, and this is my daughter, Lindsay.
I'm so sorry to say your daughter has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Oh no, what exactly is cerebral palsy?
Well, it is where there are variations in the muscle tone, whether the muscle being too floppy or stiff. There are 3 forms of this disease: spastic, which is most common. Then there is athletoid, which is when a person's arms or legs may flutter or move stiffly. Finally, we have ataxic, which is where the person has problems with balance and coordination. Therefore, they're usually shaky. In this case, your child Lindsay has spastic, which is where your child cannot relax their muscles.
Well, whoever came up with this stuff, she hasn't had the cerebral palsy for the first 30 years of her life.
From this research on this disease, a man named William John Little studied this from his own childhood of having it. Later on, a man named Sir William Osler wrote the first book to inform many parents about this fairly common disease.
If it's so common yet rare, then why did my child get this? In fact, I know for sure that all of my relatives had not had this type of disease, so I don't get how she has it.
Okay, Ms. Hoffman, you have to see that this disease is not necessarily genetic. In fact, about 50,000 children and adults have cerebral palsy, and about 8,000 babies get diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Okay, but I still don't see how my child would get this. She has been healthy her whole life.
I have one question for you. Did anything happen to you? Did you get hurt or did you get any infections? Or does anyone in your family have some type of genetic brain malformation?
What the heck does this have to do with what I just asked you 10 seconds ago?
Mommy, calm down. Am I okay?
I'm fine, honey. Back to the question, doctor.
Because this can lead up to your child having cerebral palsy.
Okay, but the only thing I can think of is my cousin who has some type of brain thing, but I'm not sure what that is. So apparently it runs in our genes, but I still don't see how my child would get it, and my other cousin has 4 children.
Well, this could have been the case of your child's cerebral palsy.
Oh, God.
I know that you are shocked and don't want to believe this. I can send some recommendations into some great physical therapy places. But you have to go if you want your child to improve and get better and live a happier life.
Well, talking about life, is my child going to live as long as any other child?
Depending on how bad it is, but your child doesn't have it that bad, so it'll probably live to about 70.
Okay, thank you.
It was nice talking to you today. I have another patient in 5 minutes, so just come back and visit every 6 months. And
Introducing Bubble Butt. It can make you fly to the sky. All you need is faith, trust, and a whole lot of pixie dust.
There's only 3 easy steps. 1. Get some pixie dust.
Step 2, pull those pants all the way up. Step 3, flap your arms and throw your dust.
Go to www.don'tbuythesepants.com. You will receive more information.
And if you call in the next house second at 1-800-DON'T-BUY-'em, you'll receive a free rock.
Okay, thank you for making the time to meet with me.
No problem.
So, what is the origin of cerebral palsy?
For Carson specifically, he had a stroke in utero. So while I was pregnant with him, he had a blood clot that traveled to his brain, and it stopped the blood flow to his brain. So.
What are the symptoms of cerebral palsy?
So it's different for every kid, but in Carson's case, he has muscle tightness on the left side of his body. So the right side of his brain was mostly damaged. So his left arm, left leg are mostly pretty tight and very limited movement in his hand. And then there was also damage on the other side of his brain as well, which controls the muscles of his mouth. So he, because the muscles in his mouth are weak and his brain can't communicate to his mouth, he can't talk clearly, but understands everything.
So, is cerebral palsy related to the central nervous system?
Well, it's the brain. So, I would assume yes.
What is it like raising a child with cerebral palsy?
Oh, loaded question. very challenging. It's different than raising a typical kid. Hard to see the struggles that your child has because they can't do things that typical kids can do. And dealing with people staring is the other part that's probably fairly hard, but really loaded question. It's difficult. It's really difficult in a nutshell. It's hard, but also rewarding to see the things that he can do with all the hard work that he puts in to be able to do the stuff that he can do.
How old was he when he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy?
When he was 6 months old is when we noticed that he wasn't using the left side of his body, which prompted us to go to the pediatrician, and then the pediatrician sent us to a neurologist, and the neurologist ordered an MRI, and then at the MRI is when they found that he had suffered a stroke, which is what caused the cerebral palsy. So he was 7 months old officially when they did the MRI and confirmed that he had cerebral palsy.
Okay. So, what kinds of therapies are you using?
So Carson currently receives speech therapy. He receives speech therapy 4 days a week, occupational therapy 2 times a week, physical therapy once a week, and just started hydrotherapy.
Okay. And what therapies have you found to be the most helpful?
Oh, geez. I would have to honestly say all of them. It's kind of a collective therapy. If we didn't have speech therapy, obviously he wouldn't be able to work on talking or communicating. They're all very individual. So his occupational therapy has really helped him work on functioning his left side of his body more, to be able to figure out how to put a sweatshirt on and off, more of everyday functions. Physical therapy, they're really working on his gait and how he can walk straighter. And hydrotherapy really works on whole body. So it's just a collective. I don't know if there's one specific that has made a difference, but they definitely all in conjunction, all of it has definitely impacted him.